Here is another YouTube content creator, besides myself, of course, that I don't understand why he doesn't have more than 1.85 million views. You have somebody like, and I'm not, I love his channel. I'm a subscriber to his channel, but Mr. Ballin hit like 5 million, 4 million views. And our boy Mike is still stuck at 1.85. And this dude bust out content that is so, like, well, just well put together. It's crazy insane to me why he doesn't have more subscribers. So anytime I do one of these reactions, you get a lot of people who, I think, and I don't blame them, like, because I do have some of my own original content, but some people are like, oh, why are you doing reaction videos, this and that? Well, a lot of the times when you see me do reaction videos, it's because I'm also trying to blow up that content, trying to get people who haven't seen it or heard it before to go over there and listen to it, and perhaps they'll subscribe. Word of mouth. They tell their friends tell their friends, so on and so forth. I want to see the dude blow up, man. He is a hell of a good creator. I've followed him like shit since he was doing his Captain Conspiracy, Cthulhu. If you look at his first few videos, he was, he's kind of like me, just trying like a little bit of everything except for music. But yeah, just watch this video. I haven't seen it before, but I guarantee you it's very well thought out. It's very well executed as far as his editing and the whole video processing goes. His commentary is second to none, and just he's a great creator. So without further ado, this is that chapter, the shocking crimes of the insane Lanz brothers.
Hey, so is there someone actively in your house right now? Where's he at?
Hello? Your house is next door. It's not this one. Come down right now. We'll go next door with you if you want.
I think you have to come up.
Why?
Are you afraid to come up?
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, we are looking at the tale of two brothers, and those are the Lanz brothers. The Lanz brothers, they led this this campaign of absolute terror against those all around them, and even though both brothers grew up in fairly decent circumstances, we have got one of those cases of folie à deux or something, because they both went off the rails in the worst possible way. Down in Georgia, Austin and Matthew Lanz lived, and Austin had a problem with the next door neighbor for absolutely no reason at all. So he was being a little creepy, well actually a lot creepy, and he was giving the old stern talking to. He decided to take his grumpiness, for want of a better word, and there's a lot of better words, out on an unsuspecting officer. As you can imagine, that did not end well for him at all. And so then his younger brother Matthew decided to take out revenge against that couple that lived just next door across the fence. Only problem was, they didn't live there anymore. Someone else did. Little bro did not know that. This one is pretty insane. It's pretty shocking, to be honest with you. So let's give it a go. So to begin, we got to get to know a little, just a titch of Acworth, Georgia. Acworth is a city in Cobb County, northwest Georgia. It's only about a half-hour's drive from Atlanta, and the city holds a little over 20,000 people. And by all accounts, well, a fair few, it's one of the best places to live in the state. It's close to the city without being in it, you got lots of amenities, and you got some of that good old nature right there too. What more do you want? Ding, look at you. The schools are good, the population well educated, and it's a good place to raise the fam. And that is probably why the Hicks family landed in Acworth.
Sorry, guys.
The Hicks family were made up of Timothy, his wife Amber, and their baby son Jacob. And they were living along leafy Verbena Drive, a lovely little neighborhood. Timothy Justin Hicks, 31 years old, seems he went by Justin, was a firefighter that worked with the neighboring Cherokee County Fire and Emergency Services. And he'd been working there for over 6 years by the time 2021 rolled around. He'd also, recently, just completed his paramedic training. He was, quite literally, a lifesaver. Amber was the same, 31 years of age, and she worked as an audiologist's assistant, making sure that senior citizens could hear what? Good. They lived there with their 2-year-old son, Jacob, and they were, just a nice, regular, hard-working young family. By all accounts, they were well-liked due to their jobs. They would be pretty active in, the local community, and everybody seemed to get on well with them, liked them a lot. They had only, in fact, just moved into the area. They closed the deal on their Verbena home on August 30th, moving in September 2021. And it was a beautiful home. Unfortunately, not all the neighbours were quite so lovely. Shortly after 9:30 a.m. on the 18th of November 2021, which was a Thursday, officers were called to that house.
They better not have hurt the kid.
Investigating inside, they found the bodies of Justin Hicks and Amber Hicks. Both had been shot to death. Shot multiple times. 2-year-old Jacob Hicks was unharmed. He was found wandering the home. He had likely been with his deceased parents for some time. It's believed the home invasion happened sometime during the night.
George, this murder investigation has now been going on for nearly 14 hours, and at this hour, still no suspects identified. Take a look behind me, though. You can still see that this remains an active crime scene. We've watched detectives going in and out of that house. And as you can imagine, this quiet, upscale neighborhood shaken by what happened. Right now, a motive is under investigation, but authorities believe the shooter or shooters broke into the home overnight, firing those fatal shots.
I run up the street, they're freaking out, crying, and the police brings the child out, holding him by his torso, runs him out, and the grandmother grabbed him, the grandpa grabbed him, they're crying, freaking out, and they said, where's my baby?
I mean, I think it goes without saying this was a huge tragedy for the entire community, and when more would come out, and more is still coming out to this very day, it would only get more shocking as to what happened. Why would somebody attack this lovely, hard-working young couple? If somebody broke in, murdered, parents left the 2-year-old baby boy, it's heartbreaking and it's horrific. But as horrifying as the crime was, the motive behind would be equally, allegedly, as shocking. And it all led back to another family that shared a fence, that shared the backyard fence with the Hicks family, and that was the Lanz family. Let's wind the clock back here a couple of months. The Lanz family lived on the other side of that fence, and not a whole lot is known about them, as much is still coming out. But what we do know is that they were, by all accounts, a nice, quiet family. And they had 2 sons, Austin, born in 1994, and Matthew, born in 1999. They both attended the local Kennesaw Mountain High School, and straight out of graduating from high school, Austin, the older brother, he, straight into the Marine Corps. Literally at 18 years of age, he enlisted with the Marines. But, big booty, he never made it. He was administratively separated only a month into his enlistment. He never actually earned the title of Marine. That means, for some reason, they never accepted him, be it disciplinary reasons, a personality disorder, misconduct, something.
Sanitary habits.
Hasn't been said why, or at least not a proper answer. And so he moved back into the family home. He took up a bit of work with his dad, who was a construction executive, and, okay, your dream didn't pan out. Life moves on. Though the reason Austin never became a Marine, we can kind of guess, but some of the reasons why would probably become clear as the years kind of went by and passed on. Austin Lanz began to show signs of a schizoaffective disorder, and it only really properly started showing around 2019. While Austin's younger brother Matthew graduated high school and later attended the University of Georgia studying cognitive science, Austin became obsessed with some neighbours. In 2019, Philip Brent and his fiancée Eliza Wells, they moved into the house on the other side of the fence from the Lanz family home. And they moved in the summer of 2019 for the first couple of months, everything was grand. Lovely neighborhood, beautiful house, life is good. Then, around December 2019, things started to become a little weird, a little unsettled. See, one day close to Christmas 2019, Philip Brent went to check his mailbox. Walked out front, opened, and inside he saw a folded piece of paper. It was a pornographic image. He's like, whoa, save that for later. Bit odd, probably just the local kids, playing pranks, whatever. Right, forgot about it. But then it happened again. And then in May, it happened again. This time he found another naked woman, picture of a naked woman, and the woman was only wearing a tiara. But in his mailbox also was a toy tiara, like a children's toy tiara. And now he was getting a bit freaked out, because that's weird as shit. And so this time in May 2020, he called the cops, saying, it's not really a crime, but just kind of want to, keep you guys in the loop here, just so you're kind of aware of this. Because it's pretty... So the cops arrived and they were like, well, buddy, there's nothing we can really do because there's not... Like, what do you want us to do? So they were just like, here, listen, Philip, get some home security, CCTV, a home security camera. You'll find out what's going on that way. And so Philip and Eliza, they did. And then about 2 months later, in July of 2020, Philip woke up and he found a apple juice box with a cigarette inside, leaning against his garage door. And so he's like, well, this is weird. What's going on here, right? So he got out opened the app, went through the night's footage. And who did he see? But it was Austin Lanz, walking by in the middle of the night, who was walking his dog, left that against his garage door. Now, the fact that it was Austin Lanz, the kid who just lived, on the other side of the fence, was not terribly surprising to Philip or Eliza, because every time they would drive by the Lanz home, they would see him out front, smoking a cigarette, right? And he'd be there, he would wave creepily at them, he would give them this really creepy look. Shit like that. So they were already thinking, this is the neighborhood weirdo, this just confirms it now that he's just leaving stuff, at the door. So Philip called the cops again. The cops went to the Lanz family. Philip went too. The Lanz parents, they were extremely apologetic. They were like, oh my god, we're so sorry. We'll get him help. He clearly needs help. This is not normal behavior. Presumably they'd seen some weird things themselves. Whether now he actually got help, I don't think so. Now, during this entire conversation, Austin was pretty much quiet. But he did say one thing that really freaked them out. He said he'd been watching Eliza through the bathroom window.
Oh my god.
Philip and Eliza eventually broke off their engagement. Eliza left the house. Philip stayed, and the weird messages continued. Images of naked women, other weird shit just kept appearing in his mailbox. One time he awoke to a message on his door reading, "I'm done wondering for real. What is the point of that?" Philip then called the police this time and decided to stay with his sister. Then things leveled up, because in April of 2021, Philip got a notification from his home security that someone was in his house. Now, he was staying with his sister at the time, but he opened up the cameras and he saw Austin Lanz going around his house, turning on all the lights, throwing the bed apart, throwing the bedroom apart, with a crowbar in his hand. Nothing was stolen. Austin was clearly looking for him. Police responded and arrested Austin outside his home for burglary and trespassing. Austin didn't deny it, but only talked about the airplanes flying overhead that were tracking him and his phone being tapped. In the Cobb County Jail, he attacked 2 officers, dislocating one's thumb and tearing the other's ACL. Apparently it took a lot to bring him down. Austin was apparently shouting and roaring his head off at the officers in the jail. He wanted to take them on. He was saying he wanted to take them all on one by one and was calling them gay because they were ganging up on him.
It's April 24th, with police in an arrest warrant accusing Lanz of breaking into another neighbor's home and leaving, quote, inappropriate pictures and messages in the mailbox. When he was arrested for criminal trespassing and burglary, Lanz claimed police had been flying planes over the neighborhood and tracking his phone. Later that day, after he was booked into the Cobb County Jail, Lanz is accused in a second warrant of attacking 2 deputies, dislocating one's thumb and leaving the other with a torn ACL and chipped knee bone, while destroying one of their tasers and making verbal threats against deputies.
He got a few more charges for that. During one of the court appearances related to this trespassing charge, Eliza Wells would post on Facebook about Austin Lanz. Sexual harassment, aggravated stalking, looking into the eyes of the person who's made you feel unsafe in your own home for the past 6 months. Looking at the person who makes you close all your blinds and lock all your doors and jump at any sound you hear outside. Looking at him as he says he watches you through your curtains, implying that by having your own blinds and curtains open, I was inviting him to harass me, stalk me. This was my reality today. It's uncomfortable, it's disturbing, and it's not a thing people usually talk about. A couple of weeks later, he was granted bond, and he was ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation and substance abuse program. Seems unlikely that happened, though.
Hold on.
So, Austin was out on...
Hold on. I didn't catch what year this happened. He was granted bond. So, I have a cousin who's an investigator. I'm not going to say if it's a man or a woman, but they're an investigator for the city. And so whenever something bad happens in jail or prison, they're sent in there and they have to do like reviews and stuff like that and find out and get to the nitty gritty and all that shit. And if this dude did what he did by tearing somebody's ACL, tearing a correctional officer's ACL, and then freaking chipping the knee bones or something like that of another officer, I mean, from what I knew and been told, like if you like put your hands like on it could be different in different states, but I know in Colorado, because I used to want to be in the FBI. That was like my goal was music or FBI, but even though I didn't have a relationship with my father, I see my father maybe 3 times a year, if that. And because my father had a felony, I couldn't be a part of the FBI because he was, immediate family. Even though I didn't see him, which was fucked up and bullshit. But I went on to do the bigger of the 2 dreams. I always thought being, an FBI agent would be cool. And it would be cool. But, I mean, from what I know, state law here in Colorado, like, you're not supposed to, like lay your hands on, like, even if you lay your hands on a cop or something, or a cop, like, accuses you of, like, there's this cool channel called EWU, EWU, and they review, like, a lot of the body cam footages and all that stuff, and these cops, about dirty cops most of the time, like, oh, you're bum rushing up on me, you're coming up on me, you know how long you could get for that. So, like, how the fuck did this guy get granted bond after he's doing this shit to correction officers? I mean, that's why they're always needing correction officers in all these different jails and prisons, because they're not fucking protecting them.
On July 18th, and then he went to move to with his dad in Virginia, as he said he was going to go get some work with his dad. But then in early August, Austin arrived in Washington, D.C. On August 3rd, he stepped off a metro bus right outside the Pentagon. A Pentagon police officer named George Gonzalez just happened to be nearby. Officer Gonzalez was from Brooklyn, New York, and was a U.S. Army veteran. He had served in Iraq, and he joined the Pentagon Force Protection Agency in 2018, and was a senior officer in 2021. It seems that Austin, as he got off the bus just outside the Pentagon around 10:40 a.m., he immediately attacked Officer Gonzalez with a knife. This was completely without provocation. He didn't say anything to him. He attacked him from behind. It was a complete ambush, and there was a struggle. Austin and the officer, with him ultimately killing Officer Gonzalez, stabbing him to death. There was also a brief struggle with a passerby who got a couple of cuts here and there. But when Officer Gonzalez was down on the ground, Austin took out his service weapon and shot himself in the head.
A day after the violent stabbing and shooting near the Pentagon metro station, investigators identified the officer tragically killed as George Gonzalez.
A background check on 27-year-old Austin Lanz took us to a home here. We tried to reach his family, but no one answered the door. Neighbors say he and his family have lived here for years. An allegedly stabbed Pentagon Force Protection Agency officer George Gonzalez with a knife unprovoked. They say Lanz then shot himself with Gonzalez's weapon. Both Lanz and Gonzalez died.
Yeah, crazy shit. Extremely tragic and bizarre. But as you're probably guessing, as you know from how I started the story, this is not over yet. Matthew, his younger brother, did he blame Philip and Eliza, then the neighbours, for what happened to his older brother Austin that seemed to drive him crazy, ultimately to attacking an officer at the Pentagon? Did he share the same mental illness his brother did?
Jesus Christ.
These are questions we still have. But regardless, it appears that in November 2021, about 3 months after his brother was killed, he perhaps sought revenge on the house across the fence. Only thing was that Philip had sold the house. He had moved out in the intervening months. You know, after what happened in April, you know, when he saw Austin showing his house with a crowbar, he kind of noped out of there, sold the house, and the house was purchased by the Hicks family in August 2021. They were the ones living there then when, allegedly, he broke into the house sometime between 7 p.m. and midnight. What's mad is that Matthew seemingly did not have any mental issues, or at least none that were reported in the same way his brothers were. I mean, it seems that, you know, Matthew went to college, he got a degree, but had Matthew sought revenge against the family his brother became obsessed with. He was going to finish... Austin went in there with a crowbar looking to kill somebody. Matthew, maybe he said he was going to finish the job himself. He even collected these shell casings to avoid detection. Then, 2 days after the Hicks were killed, on November 19th, police were called about a suspicious person in Fulton County. This was only about a 20-minute drive from where he lived, and there had been a home invasion.
Hey, sir, did you call? Hey, so is there someone actively in your house right now? Where's he at? Hey, puppy. You know this guy?
Not at all.
Okay.
Go upstairs.
I told him not to go upstairs and he just went upstairs.
Okay. Has he got any weapons or anything like
I
that?
can't tell.
Okay.
Hey, it's the police department. Come on down. What's your name? Hello? Your house is next door. It's not this one. It is. It's next door, man. This is the residence of... What's that?
This would not be considered illegal trespassing, would it?
No, man. Not if you come out right now and talk to us.
That's what I'm afraid of, is that it would be twisted.
No, we're not going to twist anything like that, you know?
Next door, you said?
Yeah. You got close, but not close enough, you know? Come down right now. We'll go next door with you if you want.
I think you have to come up,
Why?
because I'm not doing anything.
What do you mean? I just walk down the stairs. We'll go with you. Come on. What's your name? Come on.
Are you afraid to come up?
That's the last thing you're gonna fucking say to
No, I just am down here waiting for you. That's it. You've been downstairs before, right?
I can't come downstairs.
Why not? Well, we got to go next door anyway, so you got to, right?
It seems that he was telling the police that he believed this was his house. They were under the impression that he was, you know, somebody who was, you know, not quite there and had gone into the wrong house. At times during this conversation, he's trying to lure the police upstairs.
You didn't come downstairs?
Why does he come up? Are you too scared?
No? Are you too scared to come downstairs? What's that? Oh, come on. Hey, come on down, man. Come on down.
As soon as he got to the bottom of the stairs, he attacked the police officer.
That cop was ready. I know he was.
The officer would suffer some pretty gnarly stab wounds, and Matthew would be shot twice.
Good.
Both would survive.
Fucker.
After some time in hospital recovering from the 2 gunshot wounds, Matthew was arrested and charged with the attempted murder of that police officer. He was then soon linked to the double homicide on Verbena Drive and charged with that horrific incident. Matthew Lanz was linked to the double homicide via cell phone data. Also, a neighbour's CCTV captured a man in the Hicks backyard wearing clothing that would later be found in his apartment in the washing machine, and his own parents had suspicions that he was involved. They even asked if he was responsible, as he had the same weapon used to murder the couple. He was in college at the University of Georgia in Athens at the time, left his apartment, drove all the way back to Ackworth to, we can theorize, enact revenge, before going back to Athens. Then his parents met him at his apartment, and then we're not sure exactly what happened. He began this spree of home invasions before eventually being caught in Sandy Springs and attempting to lure a cop up so he could kill him, then going downstairs and deciding to do it himself right there and then.
One man now accused of a double murder and stabbing a police officer in 2 different cities. He went before a judge on Saturday. The Fulton County judge giving 22-year-old Matthew Lanz a more than $500,000 bond.
Tactical backpack, binoculars.
Those are some of the items cop police say they found in a car driven by Matthew Lanz.
Okay, I get it that he didn't. Well, so there was an national news about some fucking idiots here in Colorado that were throwing rocks at cars, and they were doing it. I don't know exactly where they were doing it, but I believe near like the foothills. Anybody who lives in Colorado knows how this works. When you start driving up towards the foothills, you know, you'll start seeing, a little bit more rocky, more of the Rockies, more of the rocks, more of the boulders, stuff like that. And then the more you get into the mountains, then, the roadways are, they're built away from the mountains until you start getting further and further up, and then you're closer. Then they have these thick, chain links covering the side of the mountains for whenever these rocks fall, they're not being hurled towards, nature wise. They're not falling towards the road. They're being catched by these chains and then just going straight down. These idiots are throwing boulders at cars and shit like that. And they throw a boulder and it hits this young woman, kills her. These assholes, these stupid fucking 18-year-olds, I think their bond was $3 million each. I hate, before I even speak, I know every time I pause it or press the space bar, it stops the recording, but what I was looking at was this. So, again, I keep on pressing the goddamn space bar. I'm going to change the pause key to something else right now. So, hold on. So, I've messed up so many of my videos because I keep on I've had my hotkeys as the space bar as pause on pause. So, I fixed that. What I was trying to say is, here in Colorado, we had 3 stupid-ass teens who were throwing rocks at cars. These 3 dumbass motherfuckers ended up killing this young, beautiful girl who's just driving along and her life ends. You know, it has to be presented to the court as premeditated, even though in their undeveloped minds, I seriously doubt that they felt that throwing rocks at cars, not realizing just general physics. When you have a car traveling 70, 80 miles this way and you're throwing a rock this way, it's not just going to be a gentle little boom. That's going to hit with some force. Again, they're undeveloped minds. They don't realize that that is a charge for premeditated murder in the first degree. All three of them were denied any type of bond, which doesn't surprise me because Jefferson County is the worst county in Colorado. It is the largest county in Colorado because they do a lot of patrolling of the mountains. They also did the biggest screw up in Colorado history when Columbine happened because Denver had to go in and rush the school while Jefferson County just kind of stood outside and didn't know what to do. But that's enough about my opinion on Jefferson County because I could go on and on about how much I dislike them. Anyways, the three of them didn't get bond. You're telling me this fucking asshole who premeditatedly murdered this couple, regardless if he thought they were the right or wrong couple, he still premeditated the murder and then attacks a cop for attempted murder, ends up getting shot, and he's granted a $500,000 bond. I mean, I don't know about you, but the houses that it looked like they lived in, houses like that here in Colorado are like freaking $5 million, $4 million. I don't know what they are in Atlanta, but it looks like, hey, you know, his family might have some money. He could be a flight risk, knowing how fucking psycho he is and his brother. It's just that pisses me off so much. Let me rewind this because I don't know how much of the whole me pausing and unpausing you guys missed.
College at the University of Georgia in Athens at the time. Left his apartment, drove all the way back to Ackworth to, we can theorize, enact revenge before going back to Athens. Then his parents met him at his apartment, and then we're not sure exactly what happened. He began this spree of home invasions before eventually being caught in Sandy Springs and attempting to lure a cop up so he could kill him, then going downstairs and deciding to do it himself right there and then.
One man now accused of a double murder and stabbing a police officer in 2 different cities. He went before a judge on Saturday. The Fulton County judge giving 22-year-old Matthew Lanz a more than $500,000 bond.
Tactical backpack, binoculars.
Those are some of the items cop police say they found in a car driven by Matthew Lanz.
And we also found a large metal flashlight that had a pointed end cap on the end, which is designed to break glass.
We got our first look at Lanz on Wednesday. He's the man accused of shooting and killing Justin and Amber Hicks.
Amber was found still sitting on the couch. Timothy Justin Hicks was found on the floor right next to the couch.
Detective Zachary Stannard testified that cell phone data shows Lanz leaving his apartment in Athens, where he was a student at UGA, at 8 p.m. on November 17th. That same data shows Lanz at the scene of the crime in Ackworth around 9 p.m. The detective said Lanz drove back to his Athens apartment after the murder.
He found a gray North Face hoodie in the washing machine, and we also discovered ammunition.
Hours prior to the search of Lanz's apartment, police say his parents drove to Athens and asked him if he killed Justin and Amber Hicks. He denied it, but his parents saw the gun allegedly used in the murder.
They confirmed that they took a pistol from his house, but left the magazines and ammunition at his apartment.
Matthew Lanz is now sitting in the Fulton County Jail on a lot of charges, including 2 counts of murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, burglary, and, well, plenty more.
With the bond.
And that is where the case of the Lanz brothers remains today. He hasn't even been arraigned yet. Matthew Lanz was supposed to be arraigned in January 2023, but for some reason that got delayed. So still nothing. And if there will be a trial, It's a long way off yet, we're talking years away. But yeah, an insane and shocking story of two brothers who seem to share the same illness, leading to 3 people being murdered and one attempted murder of a police officer.
Probably just spoiled.
And then one self-inflicted murder. Like, if Philip had been home, Austin, searching his house with a crowbar, would have killed him. And then he got bond for that. I mean, this is definitely one of those cases where if he'd gotten mental health treatment, real mental health treatment,
amen,
Officer Gonzalez would still be alive, and probably Austin himself would still be alive. But it seems like this paranoid schizophrenia, or whatever it was, whatever illness he had, you know, he believed he was paranoid about everything. So maybe that's why he probably went to the Pentagon, because he believed the government was hacking his, you know, blah, 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 blah. And that's why he killed Officer Gonzalez.
They say the Hicks family didn't know the suspect, Matt Lanz, and had never even talked to him. They say they weren't connected in any way.
And we're going to be talking to the DA about death penalty, with this gentleman. People like this that are crazy, that are nuts, that commit crimes, murders, just for no apparent good reason, they don't need to be. From what we're being told, and we're not being told a lot yet, maybe a case of mistaken identity, that he broke in looking for the previous owners to pay retribution, and my cousins were there, just wrong place, wrong time.
Matthew, he likely blamed Philip for what happened to his brother. Maybe he shared these same psychotic tendencies. I think that's likely. And so he went into that house to get revenge, only it was a completely different family who lived there. Why he did the actual home invasion, which led to his arrest, remains unknown. It doesn't seem like the people who lived there knew of him. This is one of the many questions we do not know, and until we get to a trial, if we get to a trial when the whole story will be laid out in front of us, well, it will remain unknown until then. But I'm not sure if any answers will make this case any less batshit than it already is. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, watching this whole video with me. It means so much to me, so thank you for that. And yeah, I guess that kind of wraps this whole one up. So yeah, I'll see you real soon in the next old video, which will be, be in a couple of days, so look forward to that. But until the next one, please take care of each other and yourselves, because I love you. Like you.
Go subscribe, like, share with people. This dude, he is so great at what he does. It's a shame. This count is a shame, and I always say it every time I watch one of his videos. That's why I react to it, people. When whenever I say, hey, leave any comments you want, negative, positive, impartial, just as long as it's within the guidelines, you're not going off cursing or saying, inappropriate things. I don't really mind if people are like, oh, what's the point of a reaction channel? Well, what's the point of you watching a reaction channel? I do create my own stuff as well, and I do review a lot of music, since that's what I did for many years. And I do, critique some acting, but again, I'm not a professional there yet. Just because of what I've done doesn't make me a professional yet. However, when I'm reacting, it's trying to expose a channel that I feel that deserves more than 1.85 million subscribers. Again, when you see somebody like a Mr. Ballin, I'm not dogging the guy, not at all. But there's a lot of stories that he has been a little hyperbolic about, just to try to get some more views. Mike, on the other hand, here, and it feels like I'm calling him by his first name. Sorry, man. He really puts a lot of work and effort into it, and he's respectful towards the deceased. But I love his commentary towards the fucking assholes that do this stuff, and it pisses me off when I hear of somebody hurting somebody else. So excuse my language. I know it's inappropriate, and I could have a sailor's mouth sometimes, but it's terrible. It's awful. So anyways, guys, I hope you go and check him out. If you're not subscribed to him, subscribe to him. He's a hell of a good host and content creator. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this for what it's worth, given the content, true crime. So yeah, until next time, gotta go run a couple of errands here pretty soon. Might make some more music videos later on tonight, or been wanting to do this interrogation video of another freaking sad sicko. But until then, let's see if I get around to it before. I'm trying to wait for traffic to die down. I don't know if you're from here, from Denver, Colorado, but yeah, we got a shitload of people moving here, and traffic everywhere is like crazy insane. So yeah, till next time, I should be back pretty soon. Peace out.